Hello and welcome to another video from Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles. And today we are looking at something that is now quite old and becoming rarer and rarer. We are looking at the 1995 release by Playmates from their Star Trek Voyager series of action figures. And this particular action figure we're looking at today is of B'elanna Torres, Lieutenant B'elanna Torres, who was the chief engineer of the USS Voyager, and she was notable because she was half human, half Klingon. Okay, Star Trek Voyager was the fourth series in the Star Trek franchise after the original series, The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. Voyager came next, and it ran for 7 seasons from 1995 to 2001, and there was something like I think 172 episodes, and they're all about 45 minutes long. And basically Voyager was pursuing or being or trying to find a missing marquee ship who was last seen in the Badlands, and one of the Voyager officers had infiltrated the Marquis and was aboard that ship, and that was Tuvok. And while they was searching, well, they found them, but they got caught in a gaseous cloud, which was something that was produced by the caretaker, and it transported Voyager and the Marquis ship to the Delta Quadrant, which was 70,000 light years from home, and would take them generations to get back. And unfortunately, the caretaker couldn't send them back. The caretaker was dying, and he cared for the Akampa, which was a race living in the Delta Quadrant. And he was trying to find a suitable replacement for him because he was on the verge of dying. So basically that's how they got into the Delta Quadrant, and the whole of the series was designed on them finding their way back to the Alpha Quadrant, and all the new species and battles that they have to go through on their journey back to the Alpha Quadrant, which they did finally do in the final episode of Star Trek Voyager, which aired in 2001. Okay, so that's a brief synopsis of Star Trek Voyager, but let's look at this figure here. So it says, warning, choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years. Star Trek Voyager, ages 4 and up, exclusive inaugural edition Playmates Skybox collector card included. And there you can see an image of the USS Voyager flying through space. And it says, Lieutenant B'elanna Torres, chief engineer of USS Voyager, includes Delta Quadrant Accessories, which is a Type 2B phaser, engineering case, test cylinder, and Trajector device, and bonus Starfleet display base. It's assortment number 6480, stock number 6485, and on the bottom left-hand corner you've got the Playmates logo, and behind the bubble you can see the action figure, the Skybox card, and the accessories. Okay, before we have a good look at the figure, let's turn the card around and see what we got printed on the back. Okay, so I spun the card around. This is what we got on the back. So it says ages 4 and up, and you see an image of a Skybox card at the top left-hand corner, which has got Catherine Janeway on it. It says exclusive inaugural edition Playmate Skybox collector card. You got Star Trek Voyager and the ship flying through space. It says, in an effort to rescue a band of Marquis rebels, the Starfleet ship USS Voyager finds itself swept up in a strange and terrifying phenomenon, which turns the ship into or throws the ship into the far reaches of the galaxy, some 70,000 light years away. With no easy way home, some of Starfleet's finest officers and a handful of dedicated Marquis rebels join forces aboard one of the most highly advanced starships ever built, the USS Voyager. To find a way back home, join the Voyager crew for exciting new adventures as they go boldly to explore, study and investigate this unexplored region of space. It says collect all of these Star Trek Voyager action figures. So you've got Captain Catherine Janeway, Commander Chakotay, Lieutenant Tom Paris, Ensign Harry Kim, Lieutenant B'elanna Torres, the Doctor, who was the emergency medical hologram, emergency medical hologram, Lieutenant Tuvok, Kesser the Akampa, and Neelix the Talaxian. And it says this figure comes with Delta Quadrant Accessories, which includes Type B phaser, personal issue defense armament, engineering case, universal repair and maintenance kit, Trajector and Devise, specifying neutron envelope generator, and test cylinder. I can't quite see that. Let's just bring it forward. Yarel molecular matrix of mist something compounds, and obviously Starfleet display base, and there you can see a small image of the figure on the base. It's an important note to collectors. Let's read that. Playmates Toys Inc. is proud to produce the ultimate in timely, detailed, authentic action figures for the Star Trek series. We invest the necessary time to create a true likeness of each character, utilising a special moulding process. This allows us to further final products which maintain the integrity of our original handcrafted models. And of course, all of our action figures are individually numbered for authenticity and collectability. Playmate appreciates the collector's demand for quality and detail and will continue to create product and meets or exceeds these high standards. You've got information on Star Trek Fan Club, the copyright information, Paramount Pictures, conforms to the toy safety standards, proof of purchase, assortment number 6480, stock number 6485 with a barcode, and the Playmates logo and the Star Trek logo. And it says over here, library computer and retrieval system, USS Voyager NCC 74656, Bridge Officer Biographical Profile, Subject B'elanna Torres, Species Human, Klingon Human, Rank Lieutenant, Fleet Commission. And it says Profile. Let's come in a little bit closer. B'elanna Torres' life has been a struggle with her mixed heritage. Although she is potentially a brilliant engineer and officer, her inner conflict has kept her from finding a niche where she can excel and feel at home. Torres' parents separated when she was 5 years old. Her human father returned to Earth while her mother eventually returned to the Klingon homeworld. Torres lost track of her mother years ago and they were never close. This may be why she loathes her Klingon half. As a child, she tried to hide the ridges on her forehead that she inherited from her mother. Her engineering skills won her a seat at Starfleet Academy, but her rebellious nature led to a suspension and she resigned. Torres fell in with the Marquis, where she found something for her frustration, an outlet for her frustrations, and won Commander Chakotay's admiration. Chakotay recommended to Catherine Janeway that Torres be assigned as the ship's chief engineer. Although Torres has performed well, her failure to follow Janeway's orders in regulations with the I can't quite read that, with the something. This writing is so small and so with the Sicarians was a transgression that the captain won't tolerate again. Classified Marquis files for further information, check with security. Okay, I mean, the writing on that is very, very small. And it is that digital type writing, which makes it very difficult to read anyway. So there we are. That's the back of the card. Anyway, let's turn the card back round and have a look at the figure itself. Okay, so I've zoomed right in on the figure itself, and there you can see I've also kept an image of B'elanna Torres as portrayed by the gorgeous Roxanne Dawson. And you can see that the likeness is very, very good. They've almost got her exactly right. The hairstyle is obviously perfect. The ridges on the forehead are there. Her eyebrows and eyes are spot on. Her lips are, maybe her cheeks are not quite defined enough, but her nose is pretty much there. She's a very, very good sculpting facial feature of Roxanne Dawson, obviously, who portrayed B'elanna Torres in the television series. Very, very good sculpting. One of the best, I think. So, yeah, very good. And, of course, she's there in her Starfleet uniform, which is, because she's engineering, she's got the gold shoulders. And, obviously, the rest of it is all in black, as with the others, all right the way down to her black boots. Yeah, obviously, it also comes with the comm badge on there, which is also very, very detailed. So really good detailing has gone into the manufacture of these figures. Now let's just give you a size of the figure. I can't take her out of the packet because she's obviously still sealed. So 12 centimeters tall. We're looking at 3.5 centimeters wide, and depth wise is the usual 2 centimeters. And obviously, as it said on the packet, there is the inaugural exclusive Skybox card. So you can only get this particular card with this action figure. And you can't see what's on the back because you've got instructions by the looks of it behind it. But there's also her accessories. So the Delta Quadrant Accessories. So you've got the Type B phaser, or Type 2B phaser. You've got the engineering case. You've got the test cylinder, and you've got the Trajector device there. And of course, behind her, you can see the stand with her name on it, Torres. Okay, now, as I said, I can't take her out of the packet because she's sealed, but I do have one of my trusted figures, which is my Captain Ben Sisko action figure from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And this is the one from the episode, the Trials and Tribulations, and he's in the original Star Trek uniform. But you can see that he is about the same size as Lieutenant Torres, obviously a bit bulkier because he is a male figure rather than a female figure. But in actual fact, I could also compare her to my Jadzia Dax one from the same Deep Space Nine episode. She's a bit more in scale with Lieutenant Torres. The only thing is with this one is there's a little bit of difference on the leg movement, so because she's wearing a skirt as opposed to the trousers. Okay, so that's the figure. Let's have a look at the articulation. So obviously you've got the head, which moves from side to side, and these are the same on all of these figures. So you've got the upper arm joints, which move up and down. You've got the joint just below the arm, which turns, so you can turn the hand and the arm around. And then you've also got the elbow joint, which goes up and down. So you've got great articulation on there. There's no hand movement on this one, but you don't need it because you've got it just below the shoulder there. So you've got 3 points of articulation on each arm. You've got the head there. The waist obviously spins, as you can see. Now the legs do go up and down, the tops of the legs. Not so much with this one because she's in a skirt, so it restricts the movement of the leg. But if I go back to Ben Sisko, you can see that the legs move backwards and forwards, and that's exactly how Torres's legs will move. You've also got, again, the knee joints, which go backwards and forwards, but there's no feet movement on the bottom there. So you've got 2 points of articulation on each leg, plus the waist, so that's 3, plus the head, which is 4, plus the 6. So there's 10 points of articulation on each of these Star Trek action figures. Okay, how well did these do? Well, back in 1995, as I said to you, Star Trek was a massive franchise. It was the biggest franchise in the world at the time, before Star Wars came back on the scene. So there was so much Star Trek going on. So we had the Star Trek, the original series was being shown on satellite channels. All the movies were being rerun. We had Star Trek The Next Generation, and I think it had just gone into, I was just about to go into the movies. You had Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which was also on television, and then came Star Trek Voyager, and then also after Star Trek Voyager, you had Star Trek Enterprise. So there was so much Star Trek going on at the time. Merchandise was a big thing that we all wanted and we've been crying out for. When Playmates come along and started producing the figures in the early 90s, it was a blessing and wonderful to finally have some Star Trek merchandise, which we really hadn't had in any proper quantity since the Mego figures of the 1970s. There was briefly some figures produced by Gallup, which was for the, I think, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and also for the first season of Star Trek Next Generation. But they very quickly, the license expired, and it very quickly was given to Playmates, and Gallup's contribution to the figures came to an end at that point. They did, I think, down the road, they did do some micro machines later on, but up to that point, that was the only figures that they would produce, and that was all that was produced until Playmates came along and started producing figures in big quantities, and they produced them for all of the Star Trek TV series. Okay, so Star Trek Voyager, when it came out, it was a big thing. Everybody wanted the figures. Each case of figures came with an assortment of different characters, some more than others, hence the reason why some are more collectible than the others, because the popular figures tended to have more in the case than what they considered wouldn't be the popular figures. And also in the UK, there was a couple of figures that wasn't released. So Harry Kim and Kessa the Acampa was not released in the UK. Those had to be imported into the UK by the specialist stores or the importers, but they didn't come through. Bandai was the UK distributor for Playmates, and none of the cases you got from Playmates included those two figures. So those two figures, I can remember when we had the shop, we had to import them directly from the US to be able to have them on store, and those figures used to sell for 5 or 6 times the amount of these standard figures. However, now they're all about the same price because the collectability on these figures have gone through the roof. Okay, how often do these figures appear on the platforms? Well, Star Trek Voyager ones, not very often, to be fair, because they are so collectible now. And obviously, like all figures, they run only for a short amount of time. I don't know why the Voyager ones seem to be probably the most collectible and the rarest of the Playmates figures to be out there. I'm not quite sure about that. Maybe there just wasn't enough of them imported into the UK. Don't quite know. But in the UK, these appear to be the rarest of the figures, the Star Trek Voyager range. They do appear from time to time on the platforms, but it's usually the more popular ones, the more common figures that come up on the platforms rather than the rarer figures. And you can always judge that by the prices that are shown on the platforms. So yes, they do come up from time to time, but again, be careful on the platforms. If you are buying them, just be careful that what you're ordering is exactly what you think you're ordering, and not something you'll be surprised at when it arrives. Otherwise, alternatively, we at Midas Touch have managed to find a big quantity of these Star Trek Voyager figures. We did buy out stock from a closed down shop that didn't recover after the COVID years. It was a comic and toy shop, specialist comic and toy shop. And in the back of the stock room was a couple of cases of unopened Star Trek Voyager action figures. And so we have managed to secure quite a quantity. And these particular figures are currently available to purchase on the Midas Touch website, which you can get to quite simply by clicking the link below. It'll take you straight to the website where you'll be able to find this and many other vintage Star Trek items and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles. Come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I am absolutely positive that this is something you're not going to want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new products which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you're looking for, something old that you've never been able to find, something quirky you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long-lost childhood memories. Well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular action figure. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this figure with me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next time.